Let's go.
Dr. Rosie Milligan, one of the most sought-after speakers on the circuit today. Her live internet talk show, Express Yourself, is the most provocative, thought-provoking, and talked-about radio show on the internet. There's no holds barred, and Dr. Milligan puts the B in bold. She brings it every Tuesday live at 10 a.m. Pacific and 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Dr. Rosie has been proclaimed the most provocative female writer of the century. Her books include Satisfying the Black Man and Black Woman Sexually Made Simple, Why Black Men Choose White Women, and the book Nigga Please. These books have raised eyebrows across the country. She has authored 21 books and published 350 titles for authors nationwide. Check Dr. Rosie out at drrosie.com for her books, articles, and archives of her internet talk show. Sit at the feet of wisdom. Dr. Milligan is indeed a timekeeper and scorekeeper. She is the clock, calendar, and almanac for Black America. You need to hear her.
Top of the morning. This is, I used to say sunny California, but it's rainy California. My name is Dr. Rosie Milligan. I am your host, coming to you live as always. You know how we do it around here? Nothing but straight talk. My co-hosts are the wonderful Mr. Keith Swanson. They called him the Invisible Man. People still looking for Keith. Hope they can catch up with him at Black Writers on Tour. You guys on March 25th. Going down at the Carson Community Center in Carson. Hopefully somebody will catch up with Keith, because there's money on the table for whoever catch Keith first and hold him and call me and say, I got him. Because they still think he's invisible because they haven't seen it. But anyway, good morning, Keith. Let them know you real. Well, I think Keith is out somewhere scouting. I think the technician is trying to get a hold to Keith. My other co-host is Shawana Bordenay. Good morning, Shawana.
Great morning, Dr. Rosie. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. I love the way the sun is peeking out right now. It's absolutely amazing.
I know. I love everything God sends. I love the sun. I love the rain because we sure need it. And we almost got some snow in Los Angeles. We almost got
my
snow.
God. I was hoping I would wake up and see the snow. I was like, come on, do it for me.
well, I saw enough snow when I was in Mississippi, so I'm not eager for snow. So Keith is somewhere hiding out. He'll be joining us soon. But you guys, we have a great show for you today. And I've had so many calls from people who saw the announcement. They have a lot of questions. They want to ask me a lot of questions. I said, no. We have the expert on. So you listen to the show or you called in. There's so many questions you want. I didn't realize so many for the last 2 months. I've had close friends who have been in the hospital. One had amputation and had to really leave the hospitals before she was really ready to leave or should have been leaving. But insurance ran out. She was going to have to pay so much per day. So her choice was to come home and then get different people to come and try to help her till she could work it out. And I thought, my goodness, I mean, that's 2 people that I know. So couple that with all the other people that I don't know. So that's why I knew we'll do a broadcast on this program, because it is so important, particularly like now when most people financially strapped more than ever before, and having to pay out of pocket is a little bit difficult. So today, you all, we're going to talk about the facts about Medicare coverage as related to long-term care in California. Since people are living longer these days, you would need answers to the following question. Will Medicare cover the total cost of nursing care? If so, how long? Does Medicare provide nursing home care indefinitely? Some people think that it will. Because you never think about it. You know, when you get that Medicare card, I know when I got mine, that red, white, and blue, I thought I could get up on the bus and ride the bus with it. I thought it had everything going on. Most people never think about it. And so we're going to answer some, not we. Miss Wrigley is going to answer these questions. Let me introduce my guest. Denise Ridley, medical background as an obstetrician, gynecologist, a financial advisor and life insurance agent since 2006, certified financial planner in 2013, and a Medicare enrollment agent in 2018. So, folks, I think she knows something. I think she's the right guest, and she's with us at the right time. And I'm glad that you're joining us. Good morning, Denise.
Good morning. Yes.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Well, I want to welcome you back with us because people have so many questions about Medicare, and there's so many people receiving Medicare, but they have no clue about the benefits. Like people who are part of Kaiser or different insurance, they kind of know what their deductibles are. They know a little bit about that service, but you would be surprised that most people who have Medicare, they don't know what Part A, Part B, C, D, they have no clue as to what any of this is about. All they know is, I got medical coverage. So today, I would be happy if you could kind of break that down for us. I didn't realize so many people didn't know that. Most people don't.
Okay. All right. Well, I will address some of the basics of Medicare as well as how it relates to long-term care. Okay. I would like to let you know I'm licensed I have a California insurance license since 2006, and I'm licensed in New York as well as Florida. Okay, so since people are living longer these days, the concern is, as Dr. Rosie mentioned, will it cover the cost of skilled nursing care if I'm in a nursing home? And how long will it cover? Will it be forever? And we will also address what type of plan you have in place to cover the cost of long-term care, and what are your options. All right. So let's start with defining Medicare and who's eligible for it. Medicare is health insurance for persons who are 65 and older, or if they've been disabled and they're younger and they've been deemed to be disabled by Social Security for at least 24, 25 months. And people who have end-stage renal disease who are younger are also eligible. There are 4 parts of Medicare. We call it the A, B, C, and D, letters of the alphabet. And the first part is coverage for hospital care. And people who have paid into Social Security for most of their life or a minimum of 10 years usually get that automatically at no additional cost when they turn 65. Part B, on the other hand, you need to make a decision to sign up for the Part B, which is coverage for outpatient care, seeing the doctor, going for lab work, diagnostic testing, X-rays. Those are the things that are covered by Part B. Part D is for drug coverage, medications. Now, the Part C comes before Part D in the alphabet, but it's actually a combination of A and B, and usually includes Part D, the drug coverage. So you have hospital, medical, and drug coverage combined to the Medicare Advantage, which is the HMO version where you have an assigned doctor who refers you. I will go over the 3 different type of approaches to getting Medicare that you just decide on in a little bit. Okay. The first type of plan for Medicare that is usually the basic and it's called Original Medicare, and it consists of Part A and Part B only. Keep in mind that if you have Original Medicare only and you automatically receive Part A, and you then sign up for Part B by contacting Social Security, once you have those two parts, you have Original Medicare. But it covers only 80% of the costs. Therefore, you are responsible for 20% of the cost. That's why most people sign up for the other types of Medicare plans. The other type is Medicare Supplement, where you don't have to go to a specific doctor on a list or in a network, but you can go to any doctor in the United States if you love to travel and you'll get your care here and there. You just make an appointment with a doctor who accepts Medicare. With this Medicare Supplement, that 20% is covered by paying an health insurance company a monthly premium. Usually it starts around $150, could be $300, later in years, or if, there's some other reason for it to be higher. So with Medicare Supplement, you have the Part A and Part B, and you pay an insurance company an additional premium, and they cover that 20% I mentioned. You also need to add a separate Part D plan for the prescriptions, which may be a low monthly premium or may be higher depending on your circumstances. There is also the Medicare Advantage plan, which I will discuss in more detail, where you're in an HMO or PPO and you're assigned to a network of doctors, and oftentimes, the majority of times, the Part B prescription portion is included. Okay. Now, are there any questions so far? I can take a couple questions before we go along so I don't confuse people.
I will ask a question. I'm Shawana. I had a friend that told me that her uncle had asked for Medicare, and he got Medicare, but there was a box that he needed to check for additional services that he did not check. So that year he did not receive it. So he had to redo something in order to receive it. What was that? Was it you have to check a box for the medicine, or what is it that you have to check the box for?
Well, there are so many boxes to be checked that I can't be very specific in my answer without having more information. But some Medicare plans, if you have a chronic illness, you can get groceries, for example, help with utility bills, things like that. So generally, if you're signing up for Medicare, it's best to have an agent help you, especially during the annual enrollment period, because there's so many changes. It's a competitive industry, and during the annual enrollment period, October to December, changes are made that may be beneficial. There are also plans that give you a rebate so that you pay less on the monthly Part B premium. So there's so many different possibilities that, there isn't one answer I can give you to that.
I think it was the Part B that she was speaking of. When you said Part B, it made me think about that's what it was. Could you let our guests know the best thing when you're filling out, just in case the person that they're signing with, they don't instruct them what to do, what the best thing to do when they're filling out that paperwork would be?
Well, you can't get Part B unless you agree, or your representative, if someone isn't capable mentally of signing up. You need to agree to get Part B, and you apply through Social Security office. Because those people who are working beyond age 65, they don't necessarily want to sign up for Part B right away if they already have coverage, good coverage through their employer. So you don't necessarily do it automatically at age 65 unless you're ready.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question too, because you mentioned that the basic plan. So the basic plan, in other words, when you sign up for Medicare, everybody get A and B on the basic, right?
No, well, when you have to sign up for Part B. Part A, if you've paid into Social Security over the years, Part A is automatic, but you need to take steps in order to get Part B. Is that your question?
Yes.
Okay. So that's called Original Medicare, where you are responsible for the 20%.
Okay. Is that Part B, is that the money that they take out of your Social Security check?
Yeah, $164.90 is the monthly premium for Part B, and the majority of people do have it taken out of their Social Security benefit if they have chosen to receive it at age, whichever age. But it can also be taken out of a checking account on a monthly basis.
Yeah, because I knew a person who had signed up for Medicare, and evidently they didn't sign up for B. And then later, something came up, but they had to go back. They had to pay some back money because they didn't check B. They didn't get B at the time they signed up.
If they don't sign up for Part B that's something I was going to cover later, but there are penalties if you don't sign up close to age 65. They give you the 3 months before and the 3 months after to sign up without any penalty.
Okay.
So it's not back. It's not that you're paying back payments. It's a penalty that's added on a monthly basis. Additional charges added on a monthly basis if you don't sign up within that 7-month window close to age 65. And that doesn't apply to those who are still working, who have other covered insurance themselves or for their spouses.
Well, how the person...
Does that answer? Does that answer your question?
Yes, but is that... I'm trying to think. Most people who sign up for Medicare, do they call in direct? Because I don't remember how I got mine. So it's been so long. I ain't going to tell you how long I've been getting my Social Security. Y'all be trying to figure out how old I am. But anyway, I don't remember if someone came up to sign me up, or did I go through the Social Security office? How do people normally sign up for it?
Well, there is
for
notification.
Medicare.
There is notification that is sent around that time when you're turning 65, and a lot of people do get mailings from Social Security informing them of what the situation is and what their anticipated Social Security benefit is. If they sign up online, then they may get some, notice to sign into their account to check the status. But age 65 is a turning point, and also a decision can be made whether to receive Social Security. So it can be online or in the mail. If somebody moves and, there's a wrong address, then there may be some confusion there.
Okay. Yeah. Let me give the telephone number out. Those who are listening would like to chime in or ask a question, you can call 310-928-7733. That's 310-928-7733. Okay, so you can go ahead and continue.
All right. So, as I mentioned, with Part A, that's the hospital insurance, and it covers 80% of your inpatient hospital costs. It can also cover hospice and some home health care and some nursing home care. But, emphasizing again, there is no premium for Part A, but if you're hospitalized, there is a deductible of $1,600, and this is for people who have the original Medicare. This doesn't necessarily apply for Medicare Supplement or the Medicare Advantage Part C. Okay, so if someone's hospitalized on their Part A, they do not, after they pay the deductible, they do not pay for the first 60 days of being in the hospital. But there is a copay of $400 per day if they're in the hospital for 61 to 90 days, and after that, $800 per day.
Wait a minute, I need you to repeat that. After 90 days?
After 90 days, $800 per day.
What if the people don't have that money? I guess that's not your department, so I won't ask that.
Well, they would speak to the social worker at the someone at the hospital, or if they're out of the hospital, see if they can apply for MEDICARE, for example. See if otherwise they would be sent a bill, and however they're able to work that out.
That's frightening.
Mm-hmm. For skilled nursing facility, if they've been hospitalized for 3 days and then they are transferred to a skilled nursing facility, it's $0 for the first 20 days that the beneficiary would need to pay. Nothing for the first 20 days. And then it's $200 per day for days 21 to 100. After that, 100% of that is the responsibility of the Medicare beneficiary under original Medicare. Okay, so these numbers are with regard to original Medicare, where generally 20%, but what I just mentioned is specifically if someone is in a skilled nursing facility. And I'm emphasizing this information because we're talking about the fact that Medicare does not pay for being in a long-term care facility for skilled nursing services for, a year, beyond a year, prolonged year in, year out treatment. You have to have other resources for that prolonged stay. All right. So Part B we discussed earlier, and the basic premium I mentioned is close to $165 per month. And there is a Part B deductible of $226 for the year if you have the original basic Medicare. Okay.
Okay. Can I ask you a question right there?
Yes.
Okay. My concern is that the reason why most people sign up for HMO because of all these deductible and all this money they have to pay out of pocket?
Oh, that is the reason why there are options such as the Medicare Supplement or the Medicare Advantage. Another name that you'll see is Medigap plans. Medicare Supplement is equivalent to Medigap plans. That's just a different name. And Medicare Advantage is the HMO or PPO. And both of those, Medicare Supplement and Medicare Advantage, cover a lot of the costs 20% that we're talking about,
Yes.
and have additional benefits and additional coverage that would be detailed in the plans. Mm-hmm. Okay.
20%, 20% could equal a whole lot of money. Whole lot of money.
If you have $100,000 hospital bill, that's $20,000 right there.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. So Medicare does not cover long-term care indefinitely if that's the only care you need. And when we speak about long-term care, we're talking about custodial care, and another name for that is activities of daily living. And we're talking about bathing yourself, ambulating, going to the bathroom yourself, eating. If you need help with those activities of daily living, then that is called custodial care, and Medicare doesn't pay for that. They pay for a skilled nurse or doctor or physical therapist, occupational therapist or social worker to come to be involved in the care, whether it's at home or in a facility. Okay, so Medicare will only cover up to 100 days in a certified Medicare facility after the qualifying, in 3 days of qualifying inpatient stay in a hospital. So I did mention, under original Medicare, the $0 for the first 20 days and the $200 up to 100 days. And then after that, emphasizing again, the cost is the responsibility of the Medicare beneficiary. If someone leaves the skilled nursing facility or the hospital for 60 days in a row, then they consider a new benefit period, and so that day 1 through 100 cycle starts up again, even though it's in the same year. Okay, that's detail that we won't emphasize because most people don't stay in these facilities they usually have short-term illnesses, and this generally doesn't come up. All right. So, any questions at this point?
No, I'm just learning. I think everybody it's just like when the minister's up preaching, he said, ain't nobody saying amen, ain't nobody talking back to me, people listening.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right, so Part A and Part B can cover some home health care, and there may be more coverage in the Medicare supplement or Medicare Advantage plan, covering the services that I mentioned, specifically skilled nursing care. They want to know that you are getting a skilled nursing care professional coming into the home in order to cover the additional custodial care services at home. All right. So I'm going to move on to MEDICARE now and discuss that with regard to long-term care. So if there are any other questions at this moment?
No, ma'am.
All right. Okay. Medicaid is the federal state entitlement program for low-income citizens, and it's part of Social Security Act. And Medicaid offers funds, is a federal program that offers funds to states to pay for the health care of the qualified individual. And in California, Medicaid is called MEDICARE. And we refer to the Medicaid office for applications. And applications for Medi-Cal can be through the mail, it can be done online, or in person at the office. Okay, so it's usually through the Department of Health. When you have Medicare and Medi-Cal, it's called dual eligibility. And Medicare is the primary payer, and Medi-Cal pays for what the Medicare does not cover. And this is for people who have full Medicare based on very low income. If they have a higher income, then they may have what's called a share of cost, or which is similar to a co-insurance. You have to pay a portion of your medical expenses. Okay, I'm going to make an important point here. Prior to July 1st, 2022, if you were in a nursing home and you wanted to have Medi-Cal cover your nursing home expenses, you had to have limited amounts in the bank in your checking savings account of $2,000. And you may have heard of the term spending down, where people made maneuvers to decrease what they had in order to qualify. But as of July 1st, 2022, they increased that $2,000 such that the beneficiary may have up to $130,000 in their account, and they can still qualify for Medi-Cal.
Wait a minute. Married, they went from 2,000 to 130,000?
Yes, ma'am, because $2,000 was a ridiculous amount.
It really was. So,
yes.
Wow. Well, then most everybody can apply for Medi-Cal then.
Well, quite a few. And I'm going to go through a few qualifications, and as you pay attention, you'll see how this works out. Okay. They will also qualify because they allow another $65,000 for a spouse or additional members, such as disabled children who are blind, handicapped in some way, etc. So that amount could be even higher if there are additional people in the household. And they do not count certain property. Those certain properties are exempt, and I will go through that. And immigration status is no longer a barrier for people age 50 and over if they qualify for full Medi-Cal. And here is even greater and better news. Starting January 1st, 2024, less than a year from now, assets will not be counted. They won't even use that $130,000. So I guess you want to wait until then before you get sick and qualify for a nursing home. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So that is extremely important. Okay, so let's talk about exempt assets. If you have a primary home, they won't take that into consideration to value your $130,000. And most people's home in California, $1 million, hardly anything less than $500,000 anywhere. So that is not a consideration. One vehicle, your personal belongings, household goods, and life insurance policy they mentioned, they generally will consider cash value in a life insurance. And there are various considerations for burial plans. Okay. So what do they count in that $130,000 valuation? Cash and money in a bank account, more than one vehicle, your second vehicle, for example, your RV, etc. Real property or land that you don't live in, investment property, for example. And as I mentioned, the cash surrender value of a life insurance policy. With regard to life insurance policy, make sure that the current beneficiary is on your policy. Some people have their parents who have been deceased, other relatives who have been deceased. If life insurance does not have a beneficiary listed, then they become part of an estate in terms of calculation, and then it's a different story at that point. Okay.
So can I ask a question now?
Yes.
I guess I need to go back to get it clear in my mind. We're saying as of July of 2022 that a person can have $130,000 in the bank and still be eligible for MEDICARE.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And they can have a primary home.
They don't. They can. They don't count that in terms of determining your eligibility.
You know what's interesting about that? A client called me last week, and she was saying she had been in the hospital, and the social worker asked her if she had a home. If so, she should transfer it out of her name. So somebody didn't get the news.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is for qualifying for eligibility. As I get further down in the presentation, the reason why the social worker may have said that is because of what's called estate recovery. Whatever expenses you may have incurred during that time on Medi-Cal, the state can recover some of those funds. So if actually maybe the next slide. Okay.
It's good information.
Right. Okay. What about state recovery? That was my next slide. Okay. So federal law requires Medi-Cal agencies to recoup payments for certain Medi-Cal benefits, long-term care, home and community-based services for some Medi-Cal beneficiaries. So, as of January 1st, 2017, repayment is limited only to estates that are subject to probate, and the properties are owned by the deceased at the time of death. So if somebody establishes a living trust or some other estate, life estate, etc., then their property is not in their name specifically, and then this would apply to your question about what the social worker said. If they take it out of their name and put it in the living trust name, then the recoup of what they paid were, the cost of the services through Medi-Cal, it no longer is an issue. So that's probably why she mentioned that.
That's interesting because I had someone from other states who said to me as an estate planner, I don't see why anybody in California would not have a living trust because they know about this Medicare recovery. That's not in effect in other states.
Well, keep in mind that some people may not be aware because this is a change as of January 2017.
Right.
So a lot of people may not be aware. And the other thing I want to mention is that insurance policies, especially life insurance policies, they need to have a beneficiary because otherwise the death benefit could be available to the state for recovery.
Wow. I think you need to repeat that one. You need to repeat that one.
Okay. For life insurance policies, people need to review who their beneficiaries are. If there's no beneficiary, an individual, a person, entity, if there's no beneficiary or the beneficiaries are deceased, then there's a great possibility that the state will be able to recoup that death benefit for expenses paid out through MEDICARE. So I always emphasize get that living trust, and the other thing I'm emphasizing is to name your beneficiaries, review them periodically. If someone passes, review it. Or if nothing changes, you might have other reasons for changing your beneficiary every few years. All right.
Let me give the number out one more time. You can reach us here at 310-928-7733. 310-928-7733. Okay, you can continue.
Yeah, and if you need any questions answered after this presentation, you can always get my email or my phone number from Dr. Rosie, or I can give it out at the end.
Well, you know what? Why don't you give the phone number out now? That way we have it given out more than one time, because I really want to know how can the listeners use your service? What can you offer them? What are their needs that they need to call you about that you can help them? Because I was asked that question last time you were here.
Oh, okay. All right. My phone number is 310-721-7397. 310-721-7397. My email, Davis, DAVIS, Denise, DENISE, 69 @gmail.com. Denise Ridley Davis.
Okay. Hold for 1 second. We have a caller coming through.
Okay.
And we're going to repeat that number again. Caller, go ahead. Caller, go ahead.
Caller, what's your name and where you're calling from?
Okay. Maybe the caller just want to listen.
Area code 310. I guess they want to listen.
Okay. Then you can go ahead. This is good stuff, right. Isn't it, Keith?
Yeah, my daughter's actually a social worker. I'm gonna send this to her because she needs to know this kind of stuff.
Isn't it amazing when you think that even when the laws change and some people don't keep up with what they should in that industry. I can't imagine how many people have been misled, but I guess they would call all the people together who working as social workers and helping people in hospitals to know this information. I would hope they would.
If there's so many different pieces to this kind of legislation, this kind of business that is very difficult. It's like being a lawyer. It's kind of hard to keep up with everything. So, and you have specialists like Denise that do keep up, where everybody else is trying to do it. They're trying to punch a clock. So,
all I know, somebody kind of wealthy must really got to somebody in legislature to change where you can have $130,000 in the bank and get Medicare. Some rich people done jumped in, done bought somebody.
Well, that's true. But the thing is, you got, especially in California, man, they have a whole lot of people, white and black, man, that are worth a whole lot of money. And so the bar is really, that bar is really low compared to, having, like Denise says, most people's houses in California is worth at least $500,000. So set that bar that low, they have to raise it up to actually keep in line with what's going on in California. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
So we're not about rich people. We're talking about the average Joe that has a house. Is worth at least $500,000. So.
And these benefits is worth more than the little check they give people on AFDC. Yeah. You're talking about a medical bill. You're talking about somebody coming out to help you.
Yeah.
When you're discharged from skilled nurse facility because you can't afford to pay and
Right.
don't want to build up that expense. That
Right.
in-home care, that's worth a whole lot, I'm telling you. So that's more than them checks they giving you. So that's really good. I mean, it keeps you from spending all
Yeah.
the money that you have in the bank to
Yeah.
pay somebody to take care of you. This really good. I like that. Okay, go ahead, Denise. I'm loving this.
Okay. Yes, and also a reminder that as of 2024, that asset level is eliminated, and just about anybody can apply for Medi-Cal. You remember?
Okay, then let's see.
Yeah, so that 130,000 won't be a requirement as of 2024. They won't look at assets to determine eligibility for Medi-Cal for long-term care. We're talking about Medicare and long-term care, not just straight Medi-Cal. We're talking for older people. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
All right.
2024, right? Good. That takes a lot of load off of people who are thinking about, if I get sick, do I have to pay this? Will my kids have to stop working to help me? This is some good news. 2024. Okay.
Right. Yep. And thus what you have accumulated for your retirement or for inheritance is more available for your heirs.
Oh, Denise, does that mean if they increase that like that, I wonder how that's going to impact Medicare recovery? Maybe it won't be recovery.
Medicare recovery only addresses what's in probate. So if someone takes care of the living trust, set up a living trust, for example, it's not an issue.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I'm going to touch on alternative ways to pay for long-term care, because currently some people may not qualify for Medi-Cal. And, personal savings is an obvious option. And some people may have health savings accounts that they've accumulated over the years. Long-term care insurance policies, if someone decides to get it when they're already, ill or they're much older, it can be very expensive. And then the other issue with long-term care insurance is that if you don't use it, you lose all the premiums. You don't get a refund. You don't get any return on the standard long-term care insurance. But there are other policies that have come about because of that particular, limitation, such as life insurance with long-term care rider, so that if it's not used, the proceeds aren't used for death, then you can use them while you're living, and so that decreases the death benefit depending on how much is used during your lifetime. So that's an alternative. And
is that called the universal? That's what when they speak about universal life insurance with living benefits.
The long-term care rider is an addition to a life insurance policy, which could be a whole life, universal life, indexed universal life insurance. So it's an addition, no option. When we say long-term care rider, it's an additional option that's added on to a policy. And oftentimes there's no additional cost to adding it on to the insurance. And, the younger the person is, the better the less expensive it is as well. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Does the rate go up for the long-term rider with age?
But the older you are when you initiate, obtaining one, then the costs are higher because you're older. More likely
to pass
away.
When you get it when you're younger, rate doesn't increase with your age?
It if you you're talking about
Right. Say if I get it at 30, will the rate increase for me when I get 50?
No.
If you're talking about life insurance policy, you generally
long-term rider.
The rider is
Yeah.
included, and it's set when you purchase the life insurance.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And as I said, oftentimes the rider is no additional cost on these policies.
That's right. The payout is the only thing that's different.
Oh, can you speak a little louder?
Speak a little louder. What's your name and where you calling from?
Yeah, this is Cecil Hart calling, and I'd love to be a part of this particular phase of the meeting.
Okay. Where are you calling from, sir?
Oh, I'm calling from Long Beach.
Okay, all right.
I am Dr. Rosie and Dr. Milliken, and I just really wanted to address that because the long-term care feature is provided by insurance contracts, and they are free. Those benefits are free, and the payout is most of the times tax-free when Medicare is not involved. But no matter when you purchase an insurance policy, if it is inclusive of what we call accelerated benefit riders, in the past they would do a discount feature, and they would give you the numbers and show. Well, you wouldn't know the numbers. You would just have to wait until the underwriting process in the past. But now these products are so well constructed that you can actually go through your illustration, and as a matter of severity of a change in your health, you can actually see what your payout would be based on whatever your full coverage is. So it's really, really nice to have that, because I just bought that type of plan a year ago, and I know that if something befell me, whether it be a terminal illness, a chronic illness, or a critical illness, I have an idea of how I can protect my estate by going to my policy as the umbrella. So that's the way I would summate that. You all did a good job of bringing that up, Ms. Denise, and by using an insurance policy, you do have access to some of that long-term care component, but it's not gonna. It might not cover, all of the situations, but it'll cover most of them at a smaller rate. That's a smaller premium rather than buying a standalone policy, which is very expensive, as was alluded to earlier.
Right. Okay, caller, thank you. Let me ask Denise. You sell long-term policies, right? Can those listen call you if they want to get a long-term policy? And let me ask you one other question. Can you give one? Does it go by long term for 2 years, long term? Do you pay according to how many years you?
Okay, you're talking about a standard, the more expensive type of long-term care policy, the way you worded it.
Yes,
okay.
I am.
Okay, so yes, I can, look at that. And generally, I try to encourage people to get the life insurance with the long-term care rider rather than the standard policy, as I mentioned, because it can be very expensive in your 60s or 70s, and you don't get any return if you are remaining healthy. So, each person is individualized, so they have to make a decision based on the options that I would give for their particular situation. Okay. Another thing I want to mention, in addition to life insurance, is annuity. Someone could take a lump sum, let's say $100,000 in an annuity, and purchase a policy with a long-term care rider that covers them more than that $100,000. So it's like paying a lump sum to get a larger amount of value.
Yes,
And veterans can also get help through the VA, and some people may consider using what's called reverse mortgage, home equity conversion, to get money in advance to cover some expense. And that also is very tricky. So they have to be very careful when you decide to use a reverse mortgage to make sure you'll accomplish what you set out to do.
Right.
All right. So I'm summarizing now. We now know that Medicare or basic Medicare and even Medicare supplement or Medicare Advantage does not cover the total cost of skilled nursing care, and it's for a 100-day period. And do you have a plan in place to cover those costs if you need long-term care? And are you eligible currently under the new rules from July 2022? Are you eligible to have coverage by Medi-Cal for long-term care this year? And you can apply retroactively as well. And there may be coverage for someone who has been in a nursing facility and may now qualify, because some people don't know. They just aren't aware, as Dr. Rosie has mentioned. They're just not aware of what's out there and available to them. So that is the end of my presentation, unless someone wants some more information about Medicare enrollment, who is eligible when, etc. Those details I can always handle on an individual basis.
Give that number. Well, let me make this comment. I want to give that number again. I'm really excited about what I'm hearing, because there have been people who have been taking their, I want the technician to tell us what time this show is going to re-air, who's been taking their money out of their bank account and putting it into the children's account or somebody else's account, and sometimes the children have spent some of their money. I am so elated to hear what you have shared today. I'm telling you, this is really an answer to a lot of problems for a lot of people, because people have been moving their money and transferring their property in kids' name, and they go get a loan on it. I mean, because when you work hard trying to do biblical, that the Bible said leaves an inheritance, and then you try to do that, and because you get sick, your family end up with nothing, because the state is coming back to get all the money that you have incurred for illness. This really gives a glimpse of hope for people being able to pass down some generational wealth. You have really enlightened us today. I thank God for you, Denise. I really do.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
Well, give your number out again.
310-721-7397.
Repeat it for them.
310-721-7397.
Okay, now you conduct seminars too, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Well, let me know when you do so I can send it out to my my database, because I'm telling you, this information that you've given today is a part of that generational wealth that we've been trying to teach people to try to have. And I can see clearly, to be ignorant of this, it's going to cost us far too much. Far too much. This show is going to re-air. So those people, you need to get your folks on this tonight to listen to this at 6 p.m. Is that 6, Keith?
Yeah, 6 p.m.
Yes.
Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Yeah.
It's going to replay at innerlightradio.com. Innerlight, INNER, innerlightradio.com. Keith, Shawana, have you guys, got something new today?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I definitely learned a lot.
Yeah.
But, I know I'm not that age yet, but I learned a lot to share with people that need it.
You always think ahead.
But, and then I remember what she said. It changes, so. But you know what? It helps a lot of people out there. I mean, I have a couple of people, and when you're sick, too, you have to kind of consider these things because even if you're not that age and you get sick, you're going to need it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's great. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, there's a lot
about
of
2024. I'm 77 years old, so my health is good.
God bless you.
But you know what? It's not about health. Think about people like I was telling you. My son a couple of weeks ago, he's a musician. He failed and he injured himself and ended up having to have a disc, removed and fusion. I mean, he wasn't sick. So this is serious stuff right here. So they give me a hope of light that, my little money go on down to my kids and grandkids. Praise you, Lord. Praise you up in here.
Dr. Rosa,
yes.
Can you guys hear me? Well,
yes.
Well, you all have inspired me today. This is Cecil. I've been in the insurance industry a long time, and to hear what I heard today, I'd like to bless y'all with lunch. We going to lunch today, Sister Denise and Dr. Rosa. Y'all want to go to lunch?
He's trying to fix some brains here. He ain't no fool.
Well, he left us out, Keith. Did you see that? He left us out.
Well,
you can't include everybody.
Well, I rarely say no to lunch.
Well, look, I'm letting you all know I'm going to be coming to Los Angeles in the next hour. So if you want to go to lunch, Dr. Rosie, I can meet you at your office. What's best? What's the best way to do this?
I'm
taking y'all for lunch.
Let me take a ring check because I got a lot of appointments today with people getting their trust, so Medicare can't get their money.
Well, you got a point there. That's a great point there. So get a rain check, and I'd like to have a lunch, and we can have a chat over that lunch because there's some things I know I didn't have time to bring up, and that would be an opportune time to engage, and not inflect on everybody's schedule. So just keep that in mind. Miss Davis, really, I look forward to meeting you and having further discussion. And
can you repeat your name?
Yeah, I'm Cecil, CECILHART, and I'm basically a retired insurance agent. I'm independent now, and I was very pleased to hear you tie in those benefits that insurance contracts provide, and even the beneficiary updates. That's something I've been preaching all my life. Get your beneficiaries updated, and today you just crystallized that. It is so important to have the correct beneficiary designations, whether it's revocable or irrevocable, depending on your situation. That needs to be looked at. And I've even preached at Dr. Rose's office that most people have old insurance policies in the closet and haven't looked at them for years. And lastly, and I used to tell people when I was working as a captive agent, when those people had Medicare, Medicaid, and they were calling my office asking me to give them the information, pertaining to their cash values, I used to get livid. And I used to tell them, I ain't giving y'all anything because I felt that it was intrusive. And that's just the way I felt about it. So today you all just really, you really made me appreciate all the work that I've done for people over the years. So,
well, Cecil, you keep up the good work and keep listening. We try to bring to the people. I know a lot of people interested in chit chat and talking about what the white man did and what the Mexican ain't doing. This ain't the kind of show. We out here giving information to help people to live better, and not only for themselves, but to be able to pass something down to the next generation. So we appreciate you listening. And Denise, I'm so thankful to you because I'm going to play this over and over, sit down like I'm in a class and be taking notes. I'm telling you, this message got to get out. I haven't been so excited about a new year coming than ever in my life. I'm looking forward, y'all, to 2024.
Amen. Yes.
Okay, well, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to present the information. I'm glad so many people appreciate it.
Yeah, and if you need some information, you need your policy, call someone who knows, because there's a lot of people out here. I used to be in the insurance business. I got out of it because I didn't have time to keep up with the new stuff, and I felt it would be unfair to my client for me to be outdated and trying to sell them something. And there's a lot of people in the game need to get their butt on out of the game because they're not keeping up. So if you want to know something, you need a policy, you call Denise.
Hey, man, you know, you got to stay on your updates with the IMOs and find out what the trends are every week if you want to stay in this business.
And a lot of people don't. That's why I say call Denise. Call Denise. What's that number again, Denise?
310-721-7397.
Okay, you guys, have a good day. We got to get on out of here. If they say in the nightclub, you don't have to go home, but you got to leave here.
Okay.